Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are taking a look at another Safari LTD 2020 figure. And this one is actually a figure that I was really looking forward to. Absolutely could not wait to get a hold of it, and was so psyched to find out that they made a newer version of the Concavenator. A very underrepresented species when it comes to figures. You don't see them get made very often. Every so often we'll get one, but not near as much as I would like. Being such a very unique looking theropod, you would expect it to be made more, especially with that hump there in the back. It's so unique and so different than most theropods. You would expect it to have more attention, but it just does not really seem to get it, aside from a few different various figures. But this one looks really good. There is an older version from Safari LTD of the Concavenator, I believe was part of the Carnegie collection, which is also a really beautiful figure. And that one looks very different than this one. I unfortunately don't have it to compare with this one here right now. But this one is actually much smaller than the previous version, like a lot smaller. This one, if you happen to have seen my Safari LTD 2020 Dilophosaurus review, this figure is very close in comparison to the Dilophosaurus when it comes to the size. But I really think that this one looks great at first glance. So let's go ahead, get a closer look at it right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt, you can see the head sculpt looks really nice. Beautiful scaling all over the face of the Concavenator for sure. You've got a very nice closed mouth on this version. Different than the Carnegie version, as the Carnegie version had its mouth open nice and wide. This one looks much more at ease, very calm appearance to it, and I feel like for the most part a lot of the Safari LTD 2020 figures have all had that very nice, very calm appearance to it, aside from a few. But if you look back, you've got the Sarcosuchus, which kind of looked to be just chilling. You also had the Dilophosaurus, which had a very nice closed mouth on it. And even though we're talking mostly about predators, if we talk about the Edmontosaurus, also had a very nice, very calm appearance to it as well. There's also the Deinonychus, again, very nice calm appearance. So it really does kind of seem like the year of the calm dinosaurs when it comes to the Safari LTD line. This thing is absolutely striking when it comes to the paint scheme. I think they have done a great job on the paint application of the figure for sure. Really beautiful tones of color that they've chosen. But anyway, once we go back up to the head, you can see the nostrils are nicely sculpted and defined with a blackish coloration. Same goes for the ears back here. You've also got a little bit of red running along the crests up here on the top of the animal. Very nicely painted eyes, which if my camera could focus on, you'd be able to see a little better. You can see it's primarily a reddish coloration with a black pupil, and both eyes appear to be painted quite nicely. You can see some really nice browns throughout the face of the dinosaur, with kind of like some darker browns, almost like a darker brown wash that litters down onto the upper part of the skull, and then the lower part of the lower jaw is like a light kind of a creamy, almost like a tan or a khaki type of a coloration. As we start to lead down the neck, you can see the skin is actually quite nicely stretched, again as the Concavenator has its head turned to the right, so that is some really nice attention paid to the movement of the dinosaur. You don't really see lots of skin wrinkles or anything going on. You can definitely see a few creases up here in the upper part of the neck, but here on the side you don't see so much going on due to the dinosaur turning its head to the right so far. It's really nicely stretching the skin. You can also see kind of some skin folds and a little bit of hanging skin in the throat right there. As we lead down into the body, you can see that beautiful scale work. It starts all the way up here in the face, runs down the entire neck, down here into the body. You can see the very nicely sculpted out shoulder blade there. Beautiful coloration here on the arms. I really absolutely love this brown, and it's kind of been given like a dark black or a dark brown, almost like a burnt umber wash, included in both the arms and hands, and I think it is one of the reasons that that color looks so beautiful on this figure. I almost dropped the poor guy. But you can see as we run down into the hands look quite nice, very nicely painted nails as well. The very nice browns are so beautifully done. I really love that brown that's in the legs and the arms, and then also up here on the upper part of the back you can see it kind of striped down in a few spots. Absolutely love that color. Once we get back here into the stomach, you can see some nice scale work, lots of creasing in the skin and everything going on there. Lots of variations of brown as well. You can see lighter and darker variations of brown included throughout, giving this figure really nice, very realistic skin tone all over the place. I really love the coloration and the paint job of this figure. If you look up here on the top, you can see kind of like a white striping that picks up, but there's also like a brown striping. So at the same time, in between the white stripes, you have a very nice dark brown striping, and I think it looks incredibly cool, very natural as well. And then they kind of stripe through the hump here on the mid-back area of the Concavenator, one of the main things that the Concavenator is known for. And again, it helps to give it such an incredibly beautiful and very striking appearance. As we lead back here, you can see the very nicely elaborated hip bone there. Beautiful musculature here in the thigh, and then as we move down into the calf, you also have some really nice skin folding going on there in the joint of the knee. You also have a kneecap here in the front, ever so slightly present. Beautiful foot sculpt down here, just like every theropod that we seem to get from Safari LTD. It looks incredibly beautiful, very, very bird-like. You also have kind of like a scoot-like appearance that runs down the foot, down onto the toes. Some really nice paint on the nails. They have somewhat of a gloss to them, and a very nice blackish color is used for the nail paint also on the dew claws over there. And then we lead back up into the body. The scale work is really nice, especially right here actually in the thigh. I love all the very nice, very fine detailing. But as we move back here into the tail, look at how beautiful that scaling is. As we lead out the length of the tail, very nice striping continues and cuts off right about here, and then we just get kind of a nice mixture of the darker and lighter brown as we lead out the length of the tail with that lighter underbelly as well. Looking at the opposing side, you can see a lot more skin wrinkling going on, a lot more bunching of the skin, even in the middle area of the throat. Really beautiful detailing going on, and again, that's because the dinosaur has its head turned to the right, so it would definitely be scrunching that skin up right in that area. As we lead down into the body, you can again continue to see how beautiful that scale work is all over the dinosaur. It's very reminiscent of the Edmontosaurus, I think, when it comes to how good the scaling looks on the figure. The arms are again very beautifully painted with that dark brown, has like a mixture of that dark brown and then kind of like a very dark black or a dark burnt umber brown included, and it looks really cool. Lots of very nice color variation throughout, and again, same deal in the midsection. You can see quite a bit of color tones, giving it quite the very realistic appearance as far as skin tone goes. There's actually a little bit of sloppiness to the paint right here. It looks like some of that underbelly paint has run up here onto the leg, so that is just a very small gripe, a little bit of a downside for the figure, but I don't think it takes away from it too much. Again, the thigh and calf and the entire leg over here is painted with that really nice mixture of that dark brown and then that black or the burnt umber brown like we have on the arms and the leg and arms on the opposing side, and I really love that color. As we run down into the legs, actually this middle nail here and actually this nail here also appears to have a little bit of sloppiness to the paint, but again, it's kind of something that's to be expected when you have so many figures that are mass produced like this. It's not going to be flawless every single time, so I don't really ever get mad when it comes to things like that. I kind of expect some paint mishaps on some figures. That follows through here on this one, on this Concavenator, but I really don't think it takes away from the figure or anything, like pretty much at all. It's still absolutely beautiful looking for sure. And then when we come up here into the tail, you can see that very nice scaling once again as we lead out the length of the tail. The underside also sports some beautiful detail, including a cloaca there, and then we can run along the entire underbelly. Look at the beautiful scale work that we have included under here. Again, very nice chest muscles right there as well. So really beautiful figure for sure. The detailing, the sculpt, the paint, everything is absolutely fantastic. And I think that overall, this may be one of my favorite Safari LTD 2020 figures, especially when it comes to the paint scheme. As far as a size goes, from the head to the tail, you're looking at about 6 inches or about 15 centimeters, and the highest point is probably the head at about 3 inches, maybe a little under, maybe more like 2 3/4 inches, or about 7.5 centimeters, somewhere in that range. For a size comparison, there is the older Safari LTD Allosaurus, the very old Safari LTD Pachycephalosaurus, and the Safari LTD Monolophosaurus. All fantastic figures for their time, and you can see if you happen to have any of these figures how small this Concavenator is. It really does have some pretty small size to it, right around the same size range I believe as the Dilophosaurus from 2020 as I mentioned before, but you should have an idea hopefully that this is a pretty darn small figure if you happen to have any of these right here. So this 2020 Safari LTD Concavenator is definitely one of my favorites for this year. I really think that the sculpt overall looks great. They've done a very good job on the minute detailing, especially when it comes to paying attention to things like skin folding and skin stretching in the neck region when it comes to the dinosaur having its head turned to the right. I love every single little bit of realism when it comes to a dinosaur, especially when it comes to just shining through the way the body would be reacting to the movement of the dinosaur, and Safari LTD seems to continuously capture that perfectly when it comes to their figures, and this Concavenator is absolutely no different. I love the fact that the sculpt is very calm, very relaxed. He doesn't look angry or anything, just kind of appears to be walking along, maybe scouting for a future meal or something along those lines. Again, the mouth closed is something that some people aren't a big fan of. Some people prefer their predators to always have their mouth open, showing their teeth. Personally, I love a great mixture of both, so to have a Concavenator now with its mouth closed, in my opinion, is awesome, and I really do love that this dinosaur looks so at ease, because I'm certain most theropods would not have been running around angrily millions of years ago just showing their teeth and biting every single thing that they see. So it is awesome to have a nice dose of realism when it comes to how this dinosaur would probably actually be acting when it were alive. Again, looking very nice and calm. I think the paint job on this is fantastic. I really love this paint job, and it may actually be my favorite paint job of the Safari LTD 2020 line. I think that the browns and everything they've used all over the animal look really good, beautifully applied once again. They've included a nice dark wash in certain areas like the legs and arms and the upper part of the head to beautifully bring out very nice detail and sculpt throughout, but I also love the dark browns and then that kind of like lighter, almost a khaki type color that runs along the top and they kind of stripe down the entire body. Helps to give it such an incredibly flashy and vibrant appearance to the figure overall. But again, it looks really good, very, very natural for sure when it comes to the paint apps all over the figure. Definitely something I could potentially see a Concavenator in real life being and displaying is this color scheme. So great work all around from Safari LTD. Definitely another surefire win from them. So make sure that you head down to the description, as I will include a link down there for you to head over to the Safari LTD store and pick this Concavenator up for yourself right now. So again, make sure you buy this beautiful Safari LTD Concavenator, but before you go doing that, make sure you also like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell to be notified of any future videos as well, as that is a pretty darn important step when it comes to keeping up to date with the reviews here on the channel and the different repaints and everything that I do have on here. So make sure you do all that, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.